were talking about like what the Mako in Mass Effect is probably like and how it's probably really cozy in there. So I got the idea to do this sketch. We've got Shepard in the front, Rex, Liara, and like the whole setup. I used like a bunch of tank and turret photos, like the inside for sort of a reference, but I didn't, it's obviously not like super realistic because it's based on Mass Effect. So I could take some creative liberty and ignore some stuff that didn't fit the vibes. And yeah, I'm also this weekend going to be in the Phoenix Zine Fest. It's virtual this year. I assume it was virtual last year too. So I'm going to be sending in a video of me doing a walk through my zine, and it makes sense to just stream it. Let me think about where I would want a light source to be. Where would the light source be in something like this? Maybe this is supposed to be a window, so maybe coming in through there, and maybe there's like more sources of light over down here by like the dashboard. That makes sense. So as you can see, there's Rex. I'm gonna start on him. The pressure is on. Like Rex has such a textured and like specifically shaped head. My strategy here was just sketch out the rough shape of everyone and then make it look really good after. Because it's too stressful to try to get it perfect and also try to get everyone positioned. Like figure out where everyone's gonna sit. I'm just so impressed with how they conceptualize like non-human like characters. I have such a hard time every time I try to make like a non-human thing, like person, or whatever, it ends up just looking like a weird person. Okay, I'm getting dizzy looking at Rex's armor. So this part is black, and then he's got like a red tubey looking thing that goes up like this, and then there's metal. Okay, so there's the top of Rex. Now let me get his big shoulder. I figure he would be holding a gun in this situation because he's itching to fight. And that's kind of why they're always in the Mako, is because they're about to go fight something. My day was weird. It like started kind of hectic, and then mid-afternoon it was like slowing down, and right when I thought like, okay, for sure I can just relax the rest of the day, it got really crazy again. So that was a lot. Now I'm in like the last part of my day and I'm happy. I guess I really don't draw like full body very much. I normally, like a lot of the portraits I do are like, what are they called? Like a bust? Like it's just chest to head. Like what you see in my webcam right now. I hardly ever draw like, it's got a string sticking out. I hardly ever draw like full body, and especially sitting. That's like maybe the last realism obstacle that I need to conquer. A lot of the music I listen to lately is soundtracks because kind of like classical music like back in the day, like Beethoven and Bach and all those composers, like to me the people making soundtracks are the closest like modern equivalent to that. Like they're composing with multiple instruments, and like the whole point of a soundtrack is to like soundtrack, especially to video games and movies, is to like evoke a feeling without words and make you feel like focused but still be good to listen to in the background. I don't know, I really like soundtracks. Yeah, one time I tried to draw a snake without a reference. I was like, okay, I can do this. Like, let me just, I had a vision in my head that I wanted to draw a snake, like, for a tattoo or something. And, like, it looked like that. Like, it just, and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna draw it from the front. And that's what I drew. Like, I can't do it. It's also been nice working on this because I haven't given myself a deadline or anything. Like, normally I tell myself, like, okay, I'm gonna be done with this by the end of the day. And this one I'm just kind of working on when I feel like it. And it's nice not feeling like I'm falling behind. Like my big portraits that I've been doing for my other project, um, I would tell myself like no more than a month, and then they always take like 2 months, and then sometimes they take a little longer than that. And in my head, it's like 1 month is ideal, 2 months is okay, and then once it gets past 2 months, because they're big, but once it gets past 2 months, I start to like feel kind of bad. The rabbit hole will get you every time. I've been there. It's good to know when to like walk away and try something else. I always kind of wondered with the Turians and the Krogan, like what's under this like hump? Is it their body or is it like protecting something? Is it hollow? I don't know. It must be like their body. I'm kind of winging it with how I'm doing the textures. Like this looked like more of a foamy part of his armor. So I'm just gonna do like stipples here. And MJ, if I don't know if you were here last time, probably not if you're still here, but we were talking about doing a PowerPoint about why Bob's Burgers is a better fantasy series than Game of Thrones. Like kind of as a joke, but also kind of seriously. And I wanted to do that today. I was like thinking of what the slides would say, and I didn't get to make it. But I love making PowerPoints. I think that's like one of those fun things to do, especially about silly topics like that. Right? There's honestly like there's a lot you can say about it. Like um better story to violence ratio. And actually Bob's Burgers did have an episode based on Game of Thrones. I can't even remember how we ended up talking about Game of Thrones and Bob's Burgers in the same conversation. It was something about, oh, we were talking about fantasy series and how like writers, like the writer of The Witcher and a few others, like the ways that they describe men versus the way they describe women. And then we were talking about character development and how a lot of that was missing in the Game of Thrones books. And then I was like, the character development in Bob's Burgers is actually really good. And that's how that idea came about. One time, speaking of PowerPoints, like years ago, I think I had mentioned this too. I made a PowerPoint about which Bond is the sexiest. And I presented that and it got like a pretty good reception. I wish I still had it. It was on like an old computer that I always just use my computers until they're like not salvageable. So like this one, like I don't even think I could get it to turn on anymore without taking it. It was a Mac. I'd probably have to take it to Apple and spend more than it's worth. I don't even know where it is anymore, actually. My parents probably have it. But that was a really great. Okay, my conclusion was Timothy Dalton. I think he was only one Bond movie, but I strongly felt that he was the best looking Bond. There were some arguments for Daniel Craig, and that's what prompted the PowerPoint because I just did not agree. Like he's probably in the best shape of them all, but I couldn't do it. I could not agree. Daniel Craig seems cool though. Like he seems like a fun person. Like I thought it was cool when I found out that he was in The Force Awakens. That Star Wars movie. He was just like a random stormtrooper or clone trooper or whatever they're called. I thought that was funny. But yeah, actually, I'm gonna Google Timothy Dalton right now and see if I still feel the same way. Yeah, yeah, I still think he's pretty cute. He probably wasn't the best Bond though. Like, I don't even think I've seen that Bond movie. Oh, is his birthday recently? I'm getting sidetracked. I just saw the newest Bond movie recently too. I thought it was fine. Sometimes I miss like the old school, like super kitschy, like over the topness of the old Bond movies though. Yeah, I actually like kind of I took his eyes and his mouth and I superimposed them onto a biscuit. And it still looked exactly like him. Like, I know I've said this in another stream too, but he literally does look like a biscuit. Like, he has the same coloring. Oh, yeah, he was cool in Wuthering Heights. I totally forgot about that. Wuthering Heights and Jane Eyre are so good. Jane Eyre was one of my, like, books to read in high school, and I acted like I read it, you know, like I did my report on it and everything, but I completely just skimmed it and then deleted all of that from my mind. And then years later, I was watching the movie Jane Eyre, and I was like, whoa, what? Like, all the surprises got me, and someone was like, I was watching it actually with someone I went to high school with, and she remembered, she was like, didn't you, like, do your report on this in ninth grade? And I was like, yeah, well, apparently none of it stuck. Like, the way it ended, I was like, oh, like, all of it surprised me. Now we're getting to Rex's hand, which I just, like, really don't understand. That would be his right hand. So, I mean, assuming he's, like, a human, his thumb would be here. And then he had, like, one finger. I'll do a knuckle like this. And then I think they had, like, I think their hands were like that or something. Armor is so interesting. Like, I see people cosplay, like, such accurate depictions of this stuff. I'm like, how did you even access this? Like, how'd you make that? Like, there's so many Game of Thrones characters who are just as, like, weak as, like, Jacob in Mass Effect 2, where you're like, okay, what is the point? Like, what do you actually do? You're just here? Nothing else? And, like, their whole personality is based on, like, two things about themselves. Like, Jacob was an Alliance Corsair or something, so, like, everything he says and does has to do with, yeah, I used to be in Alliance, now I do this. Bleh. It's like, it's just all about his work. I guess there's people like that in real life, though. Rex's wrinkly neck. He would always be, like, sulking in the armory room, just, like, talking about shrubs and pouting. And ugh. I would love to meet someone who romanced Jacob and just ask them, like, why? What did you see in him? And then when you see him in Mass Effect 3 and he's just, like, so boring, he's like, yeah, like, that's my girlfriend, and you're like, do you want to help me, like, save the human race? And he's like, no, I'm busy, I'm doing my own thing. Like, how could you be doing your own thing? He's like, I just am. I saw a meme about how it was, like, about how every other person who came into contact with Shepard, like, they really grew from that experience. Like, Jack went from being, like, a disturbed and traumatized, like, I don't know, what was she, like, a student? I don't know, but she went from that to being, like, a test subject, to being, like, a teacher who was changing the lives of young biotics. And Liara went from being, like, a timid archaeologist to the shadow broker. Miranda went from, like, not questioning anything to becoming, like, really key in saving humanity. And Garrus became, like, a specter. Rex became, like, a planetary leader. And Jacob just didn't change at all. This is going a little faster actually than I thought. I was worried I would get so hung up on like Rex's face. That happens to me sometimes where like, especially if I'm drawing for people, like with people watching, I end up just editing the same part over and over. Like when I was younger, like it was like fifth grade, and I was reading a series of unfortunate events. My favorite way to practice drawing was to just copy the illustrations in those books. And I was trying to draw Violet Baudelaire from one of the. It was like that. It was that drawing either at the middle of the end of the book, of the eighth book, where they're in the hospital library and the VFD people are like pushing it over. And so all the bookshelves are falling and Violet is like in motion, trying not to get hit and like trying to find Sunny and Klaus. And it was like an ambitious thing to copy, I feel like. So I wanted to get it just right. And my friend was like, I'm going to watch you draw. Like, this would be so cool. And I was like, okay. And I spent like the whole time, I was just trying to draw like, she was kind of like at a 3/4. I was just drawing like her forehead and nose, like over and over and over and over for like maybe 25 minutes. And my friend, he was like, you're not actually that good at this. Like, why haven't you figured this out yet? I was like, oh my God, leave me alone. And I remember just thinking like, wow, yeah, maybe I suck at drawing. But I don't mind taking my time on things. Anytime I do try to like rush a thing, it never looks right. And I always wish that I'd spent more time. So I might as well just spend more time. This is what I usually do. I usually do like a whole sweep where I get like everything kind of done, but not very detailed. And then I like to go one part at a time. Unless it's like getting to a point where it's driving me insane. Like I can't get it right. And then I'll take a break and move on. But usually I like to do one piece at a time. Like with my portraits, I'll do like this. I'll do a whole pencil drawing of like the whole thing, like loose, like where their eyes are and like what their hands are doing. And then I'll go through again and do it in the details. And then I do clothes first, and then face and hands, and then hair, and then the background. So that's like my system. And then when I'm doing the face, I do eyes first, then nose, then mouth, and then skin, and then eyebrows and eyelashes. That's crazy. I think of all of those things, eyebrows are the hardest for me. They're the things I get most tempted to rush to. Because it's like, okay, it's just a bunch of hair. But then if you don't do it right, it looks crazy. Okay, there aren't really a lot of pictures of Rex sitting, so I'm kind of winging what I think his armor would look like from this angle. Urban, you're so right. Like, that's totally what people expect. Like, I was once doing an album cover for someone, and they did expect to see everything progressing at the same level at the same time. And I was like, I don't work that way. Like, I actually don't know anyone who does work that way. That's weird. Because it's like you have to be in the mindset. Like, the way that I'm going to draw armor is different than the way I'm going to draw a face. So, Urban, you were talking about, like, we were talking about how frustrating it can be, like, being in meetings with, where you have to talk about creative things. Do you do that for your job? Is it like design? I think I saw someone in the chat said you were like a graphic designer, maybe graphic artist. I closed my commissions like all the way at the beginning of the year until now because I was getting so frustrated with like working with people, like non-creative people on creative things. I was like, you're just not getting it. Like, you don't understand. Like, I need a break from this. Like, I love having work commission, like I'm so thankful that people like me enough to pay me to draw things, but also I'm like, they have so much weird feedback. Like they have the weirdest expectations. Okay, video editor. Yeah, so you definitely deal with the same thing. Okay, yeah, and I'm glad I'm not the only one because yeah, I would really be sitting there thinking like, is my creative process just like wrong? Because why do they think that it should be done this way? And it's hard to find the balance of like, okay, when do I tell them to shut up? Because it's like, okay, you hired me, so you trust me to draw it, like you trust me to make it, so let me make it. Like I've been doing this a long time. Dude, editing is like so underappreciated. Like I do the smallest amount of editing. Like I used to make videos like just to put on YouTube. And like now I'll like edit my streams a little bit before I put them on YouTube, and just like the little bit of work that I do on my videos, I'm like, this is like, I see why people get paid like big money to do this. Like, and then when you incorporate things like quick cuts and color and then all sorts of other stuff that I don't even know about. Like I took a film class in college too, and we learned like the smallest amount of video editing and like making movie type things, and oh, it's strenuous work. And the people who love to do it, it's so fascinating watching them because to them it's just like super fun and only a little frustrating, and for me it's like, oh my god. Yeah, I tried to like, I looked at some tank like reference photos to try to get like the shape of it, but it's also like I wanted to fit everything, so it's like a super zoomed in version. But yeah, it's definitely got that RV feel. Yeah, I Googled a bunch and they were super cramped. And I was like, well, if I want to see everyone, I've got to like ignore some of the cramped stuff in here. So I just like took inspiration from the general shape and like where the front and back and sides look like, and kind of like censored out everything else. So it's not super realistic at all. Like there would definitely be more stuff in the middle and more stuff hanging down. But I figured like it's based on a fictional space rover, so I can take some creative liberty. Right, it's the future, like we're in space. So exactly, I can make a roomy tank. Like if we're living in a reality where humans and aliens are not only peacefully coexisting, but they're doing intergalactic travel like in a couple minutes, like we probably can have roomy tanks with coffee machines. Yeah. Yeah, this is like looking into the back like you said. And then like I think I was thinking it would be fun to do like the opposite side too, like Rex and Liara's point of view, like still Shepherd, but then you would see like the whole dashboard and the whole like where everything is and the navigation and all that cool stuff. I don't know, it's like while I was doing this, I started getting so many ideas. Like I think we had talked about having Tally in one scene, so I thought it'd be fun to do another one with like a different crew members. Like I did not include Caden. I'm like frustrated with Caden. Yes, Garrus 100% calibrating, repairing. Him and Tally working on something together maybe. BioWare really knows how to get you with these romances. Like because the same reason I'm annoyed with Caden, I'm like, we've just been through a lot and you're not really supporting me. And I'm like, Urban, you were there. Like, Shepard's all frustrated. And she's like, I really could use a shoulder to cry on. And Caden's like, okay, I guess. Like, and then that's kind of how Garrus is in the second game. You're like, Garrus, oh my god, are we dating? And Garrus is like, well, I'm actually calibrating stuff right now, so. Yeah, I don't know. It's like Caden was like, ew, no, I'm not interested. It's like, okay. Well, Liara's right in there, and she's always down. Caden with his mixed signals. Like, who does that? Like, it just sounds like you're not even interested. But then he got so jealous when Liara first joined. He was like, I noticed you're talking to Liara a lot. Like, yeah, she just got here. And we're about to go kill her mom. Like, yeah, I'm talking to her. And he's like, well, kind of seems like you like her. Wait, yeah, imagine like the seat hanging down and it's just, here's, oh, you can't see it. Like, here's Caden. Oh my god, did I just make her look old? Let's just turn this into a freckle. Let's try to give her a laugh line. Laugh lines are so hard. See, I have them. But it's like sometimes when I draw them on people without like enough, I don't know, like information, it just looks like a wrinkle. Okay, I have to draw like a pupil. Ooh, cute. Okay, and then she has like some freckles up here too. I mean, I guess she should be wearing armor actually. She wouldn't be wearing her scientist outfit. Liara armor. I didn't even think of that until just now. Oh yeah, she has that one scientist armor in like Mass Effect 3. I don't like that though. I found a cute one. You know what I'm talking about? Here, I'll see if I can show it to you. Can you see that? Remember that? It's like a coat, but also it's armor. Like, not really a fan. So this that I'm looking at, it's almost like a turtleneck. It's very booby. I don't think armor has boobs built in. Doesn't seem feasible, but okay. I've never worn armor. Okay, so I had Liara's arms like crossed in her lap, but I didn't like draw it super detailed, so now I'm having trouble. I kind of pictured her having a cup of coffee, so okay, and here's like the elbow pad. Coffee mug. And then maybe one hand is just like in her lap. Okay, so here's a thumb, hand. It's like the forearm. So this armor Liara has like a line down here. And then there's like a different texture here. I think it's like padding. And that's so true. There's never a point where it's easy. That's so true. And I think we all get better at making the thing that we practice a lot look easy, but it never really is. I wouldn't call any of the art that I do like, I wouldn't say it's like easy for me to do. It all stresses me out. But it stresses me out a little less each time. That's true for like non-art things too, like weightlifting. I also do some weightlifting. And I would keep thinking like, okay, when is this going to start feeling easy? Like when is this weight not going to freak me out? And it's still not easy. And I've like been coming to terms with, yeah, like this is never going to be easy for me to do. It's just going to, like you said, Urban, it's just I'll be more comfortable with it. Oh, I need to like, how do I ban this kind of thing? Oh, here we go. I did it. I just banned my first person, you guys. Don't let the power go to my head. I don't know. I'm feeling like extremely godlike right now. Check me out. I have the power to silence a person with the click of a button. Hehehe. What will I do next? What will I do with this power? Should I run for president? Should I take over the world? Probably, right? Like it makes sense that that's the next logical step for me. Power! You guys are witnessing like this is my turning point. Like with all this power comes great responsibility, but I don't know, am I responsible enough to use it right? Or will it corrupt me? Thank you for agreeing. I definitely think running for president is the logical next step. I have a lot of things, a lot of laws that I'd like to enact. A lot of things that, a lot of changes. It's going to be good for all of us. I used to actually completely have like a list of things that I wanted to make illegal. I wonder if I still have that list. It might be in my notes app. Actually, I'm gonna look. Oh, like, okay, so one thing. Anything less would be unworthy. Thank you. I love this vibe. Like, okay, like, you know when you're walking and someone's okay, so here's you. You're walking and then there's someone like over here and you're both walking to the same place, but you're walking a little faster and you know that like if they don't speed up or slow down, you're going to end up getting to the door. Like you're going to end up walking next to each other as strangers and it's going to be weird. It should be illegal to not alter your pace so that that doesn't happen. Like this person who is walking longer but slow, I'm just going to, okay, slow walking. That should be illegal. Like why are you walking so slow? You're in the way. Do you see the power? Do you see it? Do you see? Yeah, I'm obviously like these are big issues. Like the things that politicians are talking about now, like yeah, those things matter, but it doesn't affect my day-to-day. People walking slow, that's something that ruins my day 6 out of 7 days. Like it happens all the time. You go to the grocery store, bam, someone's walking slow in front of you and you just want to get to the potato chips, but you can't because Susan is walking all slow, looking at each price for each type of chip, trying to decide what flavor of salsa she wants. Like this is why we invented grocery lists. Decide before you get there. So slow walking is one of the big things that I will make illegal with my new power. Disliking the Fast and Furious franchise, that's illegal. Why don't you like it? What's wrong with you? You're wrong. Okay, I have more. Not picking up after your dog when it poops, I think we can all agree should be super illegal. Like you don't have a bag with you, go get a bag and pick it up, or else you're not allowed in my world. Because I'm not just running for president of this country, I'm running for president of the world. It's going to be a new era. When I'm president also of the world, there will be a day, one day a year, and it'll be the day before, it'll be somewhere in the holiday season, somewhere in the winter, where anyone in a customer service role gets to just be as rude as they want to the customer. Like if a customer is like, "Hi, can I return this? I don't have a receipt." Like if the worker can be like, "Why don't you have a receipt? You're so stupid. Why would you think you're allowed to do that?" People who don't signal before they change lanes, that's illegal. And people who speed past you, I know we all experience this. Like they speed past you and they're all like, "Look at me, I'm passing you." But then you're at the red light together. Like that's not illegal because sometimes you don't know that you're about to be that person, but you are legally obligated to make fun of that person. Like that person has to roll their window down and you have to say you're dumb. We'll figure it out so that this doesn't incite road rage. Maybe this will offset road rage because people won't be annoyed because they know, oh, I get to tell that person they're dumb and they can't get mad at me because it's illegal not to. Wearing a mask has been good for, yes, dude, yes. This is why I like masks actually because I can make faces at people when they're being annoying too and they have no idea. I'm like, you think I'm just being polite and maybe like looking at you, but I'm actually like, and you can't tell because I've mastered making my eyes stay neutral. Like, yeah, these are the big subjects. Like, I think if I ran on these platforms, I would get more voters because the other things, like we've been talking about these forever. You know, we've been talking about like pro-life versus pro-choice or like what should the drinking age be or like whatever. Like, I want to know how you feel about being tailgated. That's what I want to know. Oh, yeah. Here's another thing that will be illegal. Like, basing your personality on how expensive your taste in food is. Like, don't come for me. Taco Bell is good. It's good. I feel like I messed up. I need like a ruler. Like, McDonald's is good. $2 wine from the bottom shelf of the grocery store, it's good. And if you like expensive things, like absolutely that's great, but that's not a personality aspect. You can't use that as like a thing. Is this a straight line? Oh, also when I'm president, I'm going to require every single person to work at least one customer service job. Like there's people who have never experienced working retail during the Christmas season, and that's not okay. Because I need those people to understand what I went through. I can't even listen to Christmas music anymore. Like something the most like triggered, that's how I feel when I hear any Christmas song. I just immediately am transported back to like the 2010s, like early 2010s and like working Black Friday through Christmas at a register and like watching someone, like a crowd of people, tear through the clothes that I just folded. Like, ugh. I worked retail from when I was like 16. And now that I'm older and I see 16-year-olds, it's like very apparent that those are kids. Like, yes, they're teenagers, but they're kids. And so like I cannot fathom why grown adults are coming up to me, 16 years old, working in Calvin Klein and asking me why the t-shirts are so expensive. Like, do I look like I spoke to Calvin Klein and set the prices? I can't even buy cigarettes, dude. Like, I don't know. I don't know why the graphic tees are $25. I think that's crazy too. I don't even understand money. I'm 16. I make $8 an hour. Why are you mad at me? Stop it. Stop. Also, it does make you really good at folding clothes. Like, I'm really great at packing now. I can fit so much stuff into a suitcase. When I went back, I stayed for 8 days and I fit everything into one carry-on because I knew how to fold. That's a skill. That's a skill everyone should have. Yeah, the Christmas songs, because not only are they like just not great compositionally. Okay, I'm glad you like it. Like, not only is it not great compositionally, but they're all about the same thing. And a lot of the times it's just the same song by like 50 different people. Like, I don't need to hear Silent Night by NSYNC and then Silent Night by like Miley Cyrus and then Silent Night by every other person on earth. Like, make new Christmas songs if you're going to play them for the duration of my 8-hour shift. I'll just make duplicate Christmas songs illegal. Like, we will form a committee and we'll have that committee. It'll be people who can stand it. Maybe we'll have a couple and they get together and they listen to all the different versions of like Silent Night or something. And then we'll have them vote on like which is the one that's good and which one will we get rid of. I guess the Mako has a wood finish. I didn't even think about that, but the shelf seems to have a wood finish, so that'll make it homey. Okay, and then I also didn't think about what texture I wanted. I was kind of picturing like a faux leather type thing for the seats. I'm at a good stopping point, so I'm gonna do like my zine walkthrough and then I'm gonna call it for tonight. So here's what that zine looks like. It's a 1-week journal. I like to journal a lot. I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but it helps me like think through like things like this that I'm gonna make. Like I can write out my ideas. It helps me feel sane. That's how I come up with my list of things that should be illegal. So here it is. Woo! And so I just like, I collaged some stuff, like different cutouts from magazines, and then I just drew over it. And then I made it, it's like interactive, so someone can write their thoughts for the day and how they're feeling. So cute, right? It was fun to make. I was like listening to an audiobook. And I just like, I always tell people that I think they should journal. It's like the sappiest thing that I do. I'm like, and you'll feel better. Your mental health is important. You should do this. And they just like don't take me that seriously. So I felt like, okay, I'll just make a zine. And then you have no excuse. Like you don't have to worry about going out and buying one. This is going to be like, I don't know, $2, $5, something. I haven't decided yet. Thanks. Yeah, it was kind of an impulse, honestly. Like I wasn't sure if I'd want to do the Zine Fest this year because it's my first one. I'm still kind of like new to this whole community. And it was virtual. And the thing that I really liked, like, about Richmond Zine Fest was that I liked meeting the people. Like, it's the only Zine Fest I've ever done. And I loved like meeting all the people, meeting the other artists, and like talking to people. Like it was such great conversation. And this one being virtual, I wasn't sure, what to expect. But yeah, I'm glad I did it because I ended up having this idea. And I have a few others that are more like traditional, like they have words in them and stuff, but I just I got this idea to make like a journal, an interactive zine, and I was like, I'm gonna do it, and I'll submit it to the Zine Fest, and if they accept, then that's great, and if they don't, then this will be the only one. But so I'm gonna make like a ton of these, and I do have an online store. I'm so bad at updating it, but I'll put this on there so that other people can get it. But yeah. Yeah, Bear, me too. It genuinely is like so helpful. Thank you for telling me to embrace the cheesiness. I have a hard time because I think it can sometimes come off as like disingenuous or like fake if I'm being too like, you should do this, it's good for you. Like I feel like I sound like an infomercial. But yeah, like there's been so many times where like I would feel really bad and frustrated, and then I'd be like, oh, I should just like go write my journal, and then I like feel better after. It's like, oh, I just needed to get that out. And it's nice because like when you're venting to people, it almost like it doesn't really help as much as it could because sometimes people will just end up like they'll get mad with you, and then you walk away from it feeling like you didn't resolve anything, and now you're just angrier than you were before because someone just agreed with you on everything. But if you journal, you can like get it all out, and there's no like reaction. It's just like you working yourself through it. So yeah, that made me feel good. Thanks, guys, for helping me embrace the cheesiness. I definitely didn't expect to finish this in one stream, but I made a little more progress than I thought in 2 hours. So I'm going to take a break for now, probably finish this up next art stream. But I hope you guys like it. I had fun talking and meeting some new people. Yeah, exactly. No judgment in a journal. It's great. Like I can like totally be myself and no one's gonna be like, wow, that's lame. But yeah, I'm gonna head out. But again, thanks for hanging out with me. I'll be back on tomorrow, play some Mass Effect and work on this on the next art stream. But you guys have a good like night or day or whatever you're doing. And I'll talk to you later.